Hello and welcome back to goldstocktrades.com. This is Jeb Hamwerger, and today we have a returning guest with us, Mark Seelenfreund. Mark is CEO of Siyata Mobile. Siyata can be traded as SIM on the TSX Venture, and it also can be traded as SIMFF on the OTC. Thanks, Mark, for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me, Jed.
Mark, the last time we spoke was near when the time a few weeks after you guys came public. There's been a lot of news since we last spoke. Let's talk about the recent news item that Siyata reported record sales of 9.9 million in 2015. Talk to us about the significance of your first year as a publicly traded company, recording record sales of 9.9 million in 2015.
Sure. So the $9.9 million in revenue represents about a 34% revenue growth over 2014. And that really continues the growth that we had in the years previously. We think that it is good. We think that we can do better. And we look to grow anywhere between 30 and 50% again this year. We see a lot of additional business coming in from new markets, from our current markets. Every single time that we add on an additional distributor or an additional mobile operator, that turns into additional revenue for us ongoing on an annual basis. And that's the way that we're able to achieve that additional growth. And we're very pleased that we're able to continue that growth in 2015, and we feel very confident that that will continue going into 2016. One of the major things that happened towards the end of last year was that we were able to start working with Telus, which is one of the largest cellular operators in Canada. That was sort of a milestone for the company because it showed that we were able to get device approval from a North American operator, which for us was very meaningful. We've started sales with Telus. Since then, we've also started to have a relationship with Bell Mobility, which is another cellular operator in Canada. We don't have device approval per se from them, but when they realized that Telus is already selling our devices, they understood that they also have to offer this device to their customers, specifically because there's a need in the market for our kind of connected vehicle devices for commercial vehicles. So we're working now both with Telus and with Bell salespeople, going after their customers together with them. And we think that all of these relationships is what's going to help us drive our growth into 2016.
Mark, you've been having busy year, few months with lots of news flow, lots of new purchase orders, especially in Canada with, as you said, Telus, and now recently Bell Mobility. Talk to us about a few of these orders, what you're seeing in the business, with the companies that you're working with, and how you see that going forward.
What's nice about our business is that we're not dependent on any one customer or on any specific industry, in the sense that we're not just going after the oil and gas or logistics trucking companies. We have customers that are buying this for buses, for oil and gas, for logistics, for buses, for school buses, for ambulances. So we have a whole variety of different types of customers that we're going after. We have been able to get some nice traction in Canada. It's still initial traction with the RCMPs. RCMPs are basically the Canadian police that are located in a lot of different regions across Canada. So we've already signed up 4 or 5 different police stations and are selling it to those vehicles. And again, we're selling to a lot of different industries, and we're not focused on one very specific industry. And that's what allows us to have different types of customers and not be fixed only on one set. And not, if the oil industry is not doing so well and they don't have money to spend on equipment, that's okay, because we're also selling to a lot of other industries, and we don't really get hurt from that situation. So in that sense, we've been able to go after the market on many different levels, going after different industries. And we don't only see this in Canada, we see this also in Europe and also in the other markets that we work in.
Mark, can you educate myself and my subscribers who are not so technologically aware of mobility and what this uniqueness of this phone is, this Truckfone, this Voyager? What's unique about 3G, and in the commercial market? Why is it so important to get these 3G devices for these fleets?
Right. Right. So, we had discussed this a few months ago that Motorola really owned the connectivity market for commercial vehicles up until 2011. And when they were bought by Google, they got out of that market because Google only focused on consumer products. Okay. If you're a truck driver or if you're a bus driver, there's a lot of noise in the cabin of that commercial vehicle. And you have to have a device that can cope and have very good what is called echo cancellation or noise cancellation so that the person on the far side that you're speaking to can actually understand what you're saying. So we make a very specific device that is dedicated to commercial vehicles, to trucks, buses, ambulances, that will work very well in that environment. Now, all of those old Motorola devices, and when I say, there's a lot of them out there. There's hundreds of thousands of Motorola devices that are out there. They are all 2G devices. They can be CDMA devices or 2G GSM devices. All of those devices have to be upgraded to next generation devices, and that's our device. Our device is a 3G device, and in the future we'll also have a 4G device. Our devices are the perfect upgrade from the Motorola devices. And again, those are the type of communication devices that fleet managers want to have in their trucks. Our devices are connected to the truck battery, so they always have power. The truck driver can't come and say, oh, you couldn't reach me because I forgot to charge my phone, because it's actually connected to the battery of the truck. The device has an external antenna which allows you to have better connectivity on the mobile network. You can also have an external amplifier, so even in spotty areas like in oil and gas or remote areas, you can have good connectivity. It has physical buttons because this is something that the truck drivers are looking for. They don't want to have to use a touch screen. They want to have physical buttons. So all of these qualities are something that we've manufactured and designed and developed specific for this industry. The same way that, sometimes you'll see in a conference room, you'll have, like a Cisco conference calling device, which was made specifically for conference rooms and for boardrooms. As opposed to using your iPhone in that boardroom, which you could also use, you'll use a conference device because it has better noise quality and echo cancellation, the same way that we have this for a commercial vehicle. So again, we've gone after a very niche market, but it's a very large market. Just to give you an idea, there's over 1 million commercial vehicles in Canada, and there's over 15 million commercial vehicles in the United States alone. So in that sense, we're going after a very large-scale market, and we don't have a lot of competition. So we think that we have something which is very unique.
Mark, as we conclude here, do you think that you will be coming to the U.S. soon? And what are some of your plans throughout the rest of 2016?
So the answer is yes, we do plan to come to the United States. We started with Canada, and we're slowly starting to enter into discussions with carriers in the United States. And we plan to already start working with one of the carriers in the United States within 2016. I can't say exactly when that's going to happen, but I hope that it will happen, sometime probably in the second half of 2016. Of course, that's going to be a major market for us simply just because of the scale, but we wanted to build the company step by step. We started in our local market, which was the Israeli market, and we dominated that market. We then moved into Australia and Europe, where we have very good partners that we work with. We then moved into the Canadian market, where we're starting to gain traction in that market and recognition for our devices. And at phase 4, I would say that the United States is going to be the next step in our evolution of the company. So we definitely do plan to come into the United States.
Mark Seelenfreud, CEO of Siyata Mobile. which can be traded as SIM on the TSX Venture and as SIMFF on the OTC. Thanks for being here with us today.
Thank you very much, Jeb.